Hey there, guys. All right, today we are back with some more geography. Now, onto Mauritius. Mauritius? I think Mauritius is the right way to say it. We'll find out soon enough. Before we dive in, make sure you go and check out the links in the description box below. I would love it if you joined the Discord and followed me over at Twitch. Anyways, let's go ahead. And actually, on my own time, I watched, as of recording this, Geography Now's one of the newer videos, and it's actually Barbie talking about his what he currently is envisioning doing once he finishes Zimbabwe in the coming future. So I thought that was pretty. So I watched that. I'm aware of it. I know he's not, as of right now, he doesn't plan. I guess he does not plan on going back to the older videos and redoing them, which is a shame. A lot of those older first countries that he hit probably do deserve a redo, and a lengthening of their video. I think it's like especially Afghanistan. But yeah, or maybe he'll do it in a different way where he'll go to like all of those countries, older countries first, or the ones that he's felt he did not cover properly, and go in person to those like he says he wants to do and deep dive into them that way. That could be cool. But anyways, that is stuff to think about for the future. We still have a lot of catching up to do. Let's watch Mauritius.
Geography Now t-shirts! Get one! geographynow.com. Hey everybody, years ago, do you remember how we did the Comoros episode and I said I couldn't find anybody from Comoros, but I got the next best thing, a dude from Mauritius? Well, you guys remember Nick, my one Mauritian friend. Say hi!
Hey guys, great to see you again.
Nick will be co-hosting with me for this episode. Nick, what is the one thing about Mauritius you'd like everybody to know?
Well, actually, I'm born and raised British, but you know, my heritage, yep. Woohoo!
Good enough.
It's time to learn geography now!
Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs.
And I'm Nick.
Now, if you don't know anything about
Dude,
Mauritius, it's
Mauritian.
basically like the Singapore of Africa. Small, yet economically thriving with lots of luxury accommodations. Nick, you've been here, right?
Yep.
How would you describe Mauritius?
I'd say it's a beautiful little island, a good cross-section of people, beautiful
They did not do a good job balancing Nick's audio for this episode.
food.
He's
completely
very
tropical.
quiet compared to Barbie.
Let's find out more about this tropical island, shall we?
Welcome to Dodo Land.
Bum, bum, bum.
Now, although Arab traders and Portuguese had already passed by Mauritius, it wasn't until the Dutch came in and actually colonized it in 1598 and named it after the Prince of Holland, Maurits de Nassau.
And a lot has changed since then.
First of all, Mauritius is an island nation located about 700 miles east of Madagascar and includes the main island of Mauritius.
I wouldn't have been able to put it on a map. I was thinking, I don't know why, I was thinking, no, I wasn't thinking west coast of Africa. I was thinking more north. I was definitely thinking this was more north for some reason.
With the second largest
But now that it's pointed out to me, it's like, yeah, no shit. it's there.
Rodriguez and the outer islands of St. Brandon, which is an atoll of desolate reefs and small islets.
Temporarily populated and only about 70 people, and the furthest island, Agaliga, which has about 300 people. Otherwise, there are 49 smaller uninhabited islands and islets that lie off the coast of Mauritius.
Further off to the center and northeast, Mauritius has a dispute with Tromelin Island, which is administered by France, and the Chagos Archipelago, which is administered by the UK as part of the British Indian Ocean Territory.
The country is divided into 9 districts. One is called Pamplemousse, which means grapefruit, with a capital and largest city, Port Louis, located in the northwest part of the country.
If you fly to Mauritius from abroad, though, you will fly to the largest and busiest international airport, Sir Siusagar Ramgoolam International, which is located on the complete opposite southeast side of the country, about 26 miles away from the capital. Otherwise, the only other airports they have are Sir Gaetan Duval Airport, located on Rodriguez, which only flies to and from Mauritius Island, and seasonally to Reunion, and a small airstrip on Agalega.
The second and largest cities are Beaubassin and Vacoas, located roughly near the general Port Louis metropolitan area.
It's essentially the same city.
Speaking of which, kind of like how we studied in the
Cosmopolitan
Jamaica
zone.
episode, a lot of town names in Mauritius are kind of funny sounding if you translate them. Many are either in French or Mauritian Creole.
And each have a backstory as to why they're named that way. Places like,
Mon goût,
which means my taste,
Mon désert,
my desert,
Belle ombre,
beautiful shadow,
Nouveau découverte,
new discovery,
and the last one,
Britannia. All the roads kind of spider web outwards from Port Louis with modern skyscrapers, the tallest one being the 22-story hurricane-resistant bank of Mauritius building, reaching over 124 meters in height.
Not only that, but all around the main island you find way too many amazing historical sites and places of interest, such as the Eureka House,
Botanic Garden,
the Champ de Mars,
the Flack Market,
Water Park Leisure Village,
Pont au Piment Aquarium, the Bazaar of Port Louis,
the Triole Shivala Hindu Temple,
shopping at Grand Bay,
the Balaclava Ruins,
the Dutch ruins of Vieux Grand Port.
and if you can, see if you can make it to Agalega Island, check out the cliffs and shores of Rodriguez.
And if there's one thing you definitely need to check out though, it would have to be the nature and landscape, loaded with lots of beauty and tragedy. Let's discuss in that.
Mark Twain once said heaven was copied after Mauritius.
And if you come, you'll find out why.
Wait a minute.
Mark
Is that-
Twain once said heaven was
American author. Fun fact: he was obsessed with cats. Is that a real quote?
copied after Mauritius.
And if you come, you'll find out why.
First of all, the country is located on the Mascarene Plateau, an elevated underwater ridge that used to harbor volcanic activity, though today Mauritius only has dormant volcanoes.
The country may be small, but harbours a few mountain ranges like the Mocha up north. But the Black River range holds the highest peak at 800 meters.
Piton de la Petite Rivière Noire. Just a skip away, you find the largest water body, the Mar au Vacoas Reservoir, and east of that, the longest river, the Grand River southeast, all while the entire country is surrounded by coral reefs.
The country has about 335 kilometers of beaches all around the coast. However, unfortunately, only about 12% of it's truly public, as many of the beaches have been taken away for private use, which has caused outrage among many citizens.
Otherwise, the
Oh,
other outlying
gee.
dependent islands like Agalega and St. Brandon are flat, while Rodriguez has small hills and both have easier access beaches. Now, besides beautiful waterfalls like Tamarin or the scenic volcano craters like Trou Surf or the
Ooh.
Lemon underwater
Ooh,
waterfall,
that's
Mauritius
fucking
has a lot of strange
freaky.
things going on.
For one, the seven coloured earths. This fascinating natural phenomenon of sand, decked in 7 different colours, and never erodes and stays the same way even after rainfall.
La Pouche Peak is where you can have a 360-degree view of the entire main island, and the Mont Brabant Mountains has a sad story of slaves that hid and jumped off when seeing police that were actually coming to tell them that slavery had been abolished.
In terms of flora and fauna, the country has about 700 species of flowering plants. 246 are endemic.
Including the last 2 Bois d'Antel trees left in nature in the world, possibly the rarest. These are found on Piton Grand Bassin Hill, known for their fluffy, detailed, bell-shaped flowers.
Due to the introduction of foreign plants that have overrun the environment, like guava trees, almost all the Bois d'Antel would have disappeared if it weren't for human interaction. And of course, we cannot talk about Mauritius without mentioning the national animal, and unfortunately extinct dodo bird.
This 3-foot-tall, flightless wonder
in
went
peace,
extinct in the
my sweet
17th
prince.
century due to the number of factors like hunting and invasive species, and today is not only the mascot of the nation found all over souvenirs and merchandise, but has lived on in worldwide recognition through literature, pop culture, and media.
Yes, always in our hearts, dear, sweet dodo.
Otherwise, with Mauritius, the economy is pretty diverse. They have the 3rd highest GDP per capita in all of Africa, with an average annual salary of about $22,000.
Industry, banking and service sectors employ the most people, especially after Mauritius has seen a huge tourism boom in the past few decades. The largest exports are textiles, fish and sugarcane. Mauritian food is very diverse as well. You have national dishes like Mauritian-style roti with 7 curries,
Gâteau piment,
Mauritian-style Chinese fried noodles,
salted fish and lentil soup,
the national street food, dal puri,
merveille,
boulette poisson,
bol renversé, and aigre doux.
and they all look so good and distinctly derived from multiple people groups, which makes the perfect transition into...
Bum, bum.
Now, when it comes to Mauritius, the biggest question usually is, what does it mean to be Mauritian?
Well, the answer may shock you. Click here to find out. No, I'm just kidding. First of all, the country has about 1.3 million people and is the most densely populated country in all of Africa with about 624 people per square kilometer. Now, here's the part that kind of frustrates me. Mauritius hasn't really had an ethnic background questionnaire on its census since 1972, so today there are no statistics that accurately specify what the percentages are on ethnic makeup.
However, it's generally accepted that somewhere around 2/3 of the country are Indo or Indo-mixed Mauritian, as in from India, whereas the remaining third comes from a whites, mostly British or French descent. Asians,
Okay.
mostly Chinese descent, and Black Africans, most of East
Okay,
African
that
descent.
34% is literally just means everyone else.
The Mauritian rupee as their currency. They use the types C and G plug outlets, and they drive on the left side of the road.
Damn it.
Now, here's the
No. British colonialism.
Interesting thing, Mauritius doesn't have an indigenous population.
Nobody knows exactly who discovered the island first. Wax tablets were found that may have belonged to the Greeks or Phoenicians, but the Arabs were the first ones to officially record landing.
From the Greeks? That's
On it.
But they
okay.
didn't really care and left.
Then the Portuguese came in and briefly stayed, but they didn't really care and left.
Finally, the Dutch came in and became the first to officially inhabit the island.
Over time, the French and then the British took over, and then they brought with them slaves, and then slavery was abolished, and then indentured Indians and Chagos people and Chinese people were brought over.
Years passed by and they made babies, some mixed, and here we are today.
That being said, Nick, you being Mauritian, what exactly is your specific ethnic background, do you know?
So yeah, my mum, she's a mix of African and French, and I believe that's the original Mauritians. As later on, the Indians came into the government and into bread, and now you'll look and see someone says they're Mauritian and they actually look fully Indian, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I believe the African-French mix is the original Mauritian.
Cool. On top of that, the funny thing is the vast majority of people in Mauritius are at least trilingual or quadrilingual.
English and French are their administrative languages.
They also speak their native mother tongues as a third language, which could be anything from Hindi to Hakka, Mandarin, or Bhojpuri.
And Mauritian Creole as the fourth, which is used interchangeably between everyone.
Mauritian Creole is mostly French-based, and it's strange. They will literally switch between all four on a daily basis. For example, geography Manish wrote this.
Kaise, hababua.
Oh, bonjour, je voudrais ouvrir un compte en banque, s'il vous plaît.
Sure, just draft these documents right here, please.
Oh, excuse me a sec. Oh, bonjour, mon camarade. Nous parlons manse mine fritranto. Ton envie vin avec nous? Manish also said, weirdly enough, during Hindi song competitions, the presenter speaks in French, and the subtitles are in English, and the song is in Hindi, and if the participant is interviewed, he speaks Creole.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
When it comes to dividing up groups, though, most statistics prefer to look at the faith denomination chart rather than race.
Mauritius is one of the only 3 nations in the world that has a Hindu majority, the others being India and Nepal.
Hindu temples and shrines are everywhere.
Ganga Talao Crater Lake is considered the most sacred Hindu site in the country, with multiple temples devoted to gods and goddesses like Shiva, Hanuman, Ganga, with an annual pilgrimage.
Otherwise, Christians make up a third of the population practiced by all different races, Indian, Chinese, and whites. Islam is practiced by about 17%, mostly Sunnis from Pakistan and India. And finally, there's a few Baha'i and unaffiliated people as well.
Culture-wise, it all pretty much depends on which community your interaction is with. All over you hear Sega songs that are songs sung in Creole.
Rugby has been gaining popularity in the past years, and they have just won the first Olympic medal in boxing with athlete Bruno Julie.
Otherwise, yeah, Nick, what else do you think about Mauritius? What are some things you noticed when you were there?
I tell you, there's a big surfing community there. There's lots of surf dudes all out on the beach enjoying themselves. There's O'Neill Billabong shops everywhere, and generations of families sitting on the beach, dancing and eating food out and all sorts.
Hanging with family.
Yep.
Nice. Some notable people of Mauritian descent or from Mauritius might include Sir Siwo Saga Ramgoolam, the first Prime Minister,
Kaya,
Malcolm de Chazal,
Ananda Devi,
Nobel Prize winner Jean-Marie Gustave,
Brown Sicard,
Jean-Alphonse Ravaton,
Jane Constance.
and Cardinal Maurice Piat.
So as you can see, Mauritius is a real melting pot of people.
And the way how they branch out and interact with the world is even more diverse. Let's find out in...
Friend zone.
Bum, bum, bum.
Now, when it comes to their friends, Mauritius has a lot of clues to their history. First of all, with France, as a former colony for almost 100 years, French culture permeates everywhere.
Including the Creole that they speak. Mauritians actually grow up watching French cartoons and French dub shows. Export is important between the two as well. However, they have a little rivalry with the French overseas territory of Reunion. They jokingly call Mauritius backwards India, and Mauritians call them European wannabes. China is a close friend because Mauritius acted as a kind of like launch pad from China into Africa, since they already had a large community of Chino-Mauritians.
When it comes to their best friend, though, usually most Mauritians will say India. Prime Minister Paul Raymond Berenger has said that there's an umbilical cord relationship between India and Mauritius.
As one of the only 3 majority Hindu populous nations in the world, Mauritius holds an endearing role to the political hearts of India. They have a double taxation agreement with India, making them the most important foreign investor. They donate a ton of money, loans its ships to fights off Somalian pirates, sends actors and singers to perform.
In conclusion, Nick, what would you say?
I would say Mauritius is a beautiful, tropical, colourful island where Africa and Asia meet in a new, thriving economy.
Nice, nicely said. Stay tuned, the big guy, Mexico, is coming up next.
Oh boy. That was Geography Now, Mauritius. And I believe one of you said, what's his name? Nick? No, that was Nick, wasn't it? Shit. I forget the names of these people. The other guy comes back. The dude that has absolutely has biceps as big as my brain, big as my head, as big as this. I think y'all said he comes back for the Mexico episode. So looking forward to that. Aside from that, though, I've got nothing else to add here at the end. This one was some reason, like, despite it being around the average length of a Geography Now video, this one felt paced a lot slower. And so I didn't quite dig it. I didn't care too much for it. This one is on the lower rungs for me, for their Geography Now series, but, you know, still not bad. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.